Hello, Serge here for the Backyard Driving Range. All right. Just want to start off by reeling, I guess you could say, a really feel-good daily. And this comes to me from through customer service from David Simpkins. And David states, I have just registered and should have put in this comment section that I have been getting the Serge's daily video for a number of years now. I can't remember when I first started, but the chance to meet and talk face-to-face with the Serge and his team is like meeting one's hero. Regards, David Simpkins. And what he's talking about registering is David just registered for the Peak Performance Golf School in England, which we're having in about, I think, the first week of May. But don't quote me on that. You can find out by going to swingsurgeon.com and looking up golf schools, and it'll be there. And I'll be doing that golf school with Malcolm Rawl, one of our resident certified instructors in Europe. And Malcolm basically is a Brit. He lives in Germany, more permanently in Germany, but he's a born and bred natural British citizen, and he goes all over Europe too, doing golf schools. And I'll be with him just outside of London there, and that's what David's talking about. So it's just great it's always great to see students, and I mean, it's every time I go to golf schools, the greetings are just phenomenal. And the other thing I love about them too is how all the Sergites, in most cases, the students at the schools, they're meeting each other for the first time, but they got this bond because they're like, it's like the Serge Nation is like a fraternity, and you all believe in the same things, and you're coming for the same reasons, to learn the peak performance swing and get better at it. But let's talk about some golf instruction today. Got an email from a Ron Wetloffer, and Ron says, Don, I watched and listened carefully to your comments. All made sense except at the outset you mentioned. And this is relative to a video, a daily that came out a while back called Alignment Tips, Check Your Toes. It said, initially, that it makes a difference as to whether one is left-handed or right-handed when positioning the body. He says, I believe you need to explain this somewhat. Perhaps I'm wrong, but unknowingly, since I'm right-handed, for some reason I've been used to lining up the club with my right, but looking with my left. I've been doing this as long as I can remember. Should I be using my right eye when lining up to the target? So when I read this, Ron had me all kind of confused. And when I read what the video was that it came in on, check your toes, alignment tip, check your toes, and he talked about his right eye, I figured out what he's talking about. So let me briefly talk about this because it's critical. Naturally, the best place to learn about what I'm talking about is the Ultimate Alignment video. That video is just under 2 hours, and it talks about this new concept I figured out about alignment that really gets into really talking about the eye issues here and how our eyes fool us in what we're seeing, okay? And but this is simple. What I'm going to talk about today is absolutely simple, all right? And right now, I got this down pretty darn good where this is lined up right at the camera lens. This is what I call making the H. Aiming line, target line. The crossbar is the ball position line, and this is your toe line. What I was talking about in this is 2 points. Your dominant eye is the eye that you get your maximum focus with. So if you're a right-hander and right eye dominant, which means it would be your trailing eye, you have to turn your head a little bit more to be able to see the target to get your right eye to really focus in on it. Most players who are right eye dominant are lefties who may be left eye dominant. If your trailing eye, for the way you stand up to the ball, training our back eye, is the one that is your dominant eye, you have to turn your head more. Many golfers tend to cheat a little bit and they start doing this. And what's wrong with that? Well, they're lifting their eyes up, right, to use my glasses here, like this. So they're getting a panoramic sweep, and they're losing the down the line look, or as I call the bowling alley look, and you're not putting the right picture, using your eyes to give you the right picture in the back of your head. That what you're going to eventually swing off of when you're standing here and you're looking at the ball to hit it throughout the swing till impact. You're playing off the picture. You just put a distorted picture in there that's kind of more this way rather than this sweeping picture this way than like this as a bowling alley versus a big landscape type view. Okay? So that's the big view. But the big thing now I'm talking about is the toes. Most golfers, even when they try to make the H, right? This line, the crossbar, and here is the H. And if I just go to the crossbar or ball position line and this line, the toe line, it's an upside down T. Well, it's amazing how many people walk into a ball and they make the H where they walk around from here. And I've always done this thing where I kind of, when I practice this, and I've done this a lot of times, where I tick off to get to, like I'm making a quarter of a circle, a 90-degree turn. You know, tick, 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 bing. When I get here and I made 90 degrees, so I just made like 1/4 slice of this big round pie, if there was one here. And I put the club up, I get my club parallel to the ground, the club, the leading edge, here parallel to the ground, so I know it's square. I put it down to my spot, I check that out, I draw this line in for my ball position, and this toe comes to the line, and that one goes back equally. Well, what a lot of folks do is all they do is they're looking at their club head and the target, and they do this, and then they get in there, and a lot of times they start doing this stuff, but they don't ever look and check their toes. Look at right here. Where am I right here? If I go toe to toe, look at how much space there is in here. There's 3 fingers of space in here, and up here where this toe was, there's almost none. So taking those 3 fingers, that's got to be at least 2 inches. So at the minimum, I'm lined up at least by this standard once I go out there, a minimum of 2 inches right of my target, which would get me by the time I get out to a 150-yard target. Like I said, if you make a 1-inch mistake with your club face and or your toes and your body, 1-inch fans or flares out 10 yards every 100 yards. So it'll be flanning out like this, going wider that way. And most people get the back foot off. But I can't tell you how many times I talk about this thing about getting the feet the right distance down from there, and I'm right there on the left here. I've just talked about it, and a student walks in, they go like this, and they stop pulling the club back, and I say, stop. Look at, what's the matter? Look at your toes. They're not even close to the same distance to the line. And the line is right there. They were hitting balls with a line on the ground. Or they had a couple of these sticks like you could buy it in the golf shops or at Lowe's or the Home Depot or whatever. You could buy those things. And they're not even looking at their toes on the ground. The toe line's critical. Because why? When we swing, we're basically rotating, little rotations we do at the peak performance swing, we're rotating around our ankles, and our swing and our knees are what I call covering your toe line. So if your toes are wrong and your knees swing properly, you're going to be swinging right out there. If the back foot for a right-hander would be the right foot, was way out to the right. Vice versa would be the left foot for lefty. You have to check, if the lines are there on the ground, you at least have to check your toe line and then be more cognizant of it when you're doing it without lines on the ground. But you've got to have this done, and I mean, the lines are right there and folks miss it. What's the biggest surgism I talk about with alignment? Alignment, alignment, alignment. Don't play golf without it. All right? And the next biggest one is probably even bigger, as I say, golf, as far as alignment goes, 90 to 95% of all swing problems arise out of alignment. If that isn't enough to get you to concentrate on this, then I don't know what else I can say. All right? So your toe line is critical. Pay attention to your toes. All right? Make sure they are on the same line. That instead now they'd be here, which now I'm stepping on this club is this. The shaft is under my right toe, is under the end of my toe. That's how far right this club is now aimed. So toe line is critical. Pay attention to your toe line, and then make sure that whenever we talk about toe lines, we always mean toes, knees, hips, shoulders, and eyes, all the way up, okay? Alignment, alignment, alignment. Don't play golf without it. But we might say, you don't have alignment, alignment, alignment. You only have it if both toes are the same distance from the toe line. All right? That's it for the search for today, and I'll be speaking with you all again soon.